Danny, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Grateful to be here. I'm always good, mate. Yeah, always.
So Danny and I were at college together, sort of had the same kind of group of mates. Nights out in Love Shack, Rafifi. Before going out, died on its arse, probably post-COVID, I would say. Danny's a tattooist, and that's probably not doing him justice because Danny is a world-class, I hope you don't mind me saying, world-class tattooist.
Shower me, mate. Like no one else does. Give it.
With an interesting story, and we're going to get into that interesting story today. So talk to us a little bit about what you do.
I'm a tattoo artist from Manchester, self-taught, 17 years now, tattooed over 3,500 people. I'm like the ultimate podcast host. I've interviewed pretty much 3,500 people and counting.
Well, this is on my list for literally page 2 for when we was going to get into that, but this seems like a good a time as any to get into it. So obviously tattooing takes hours. It's a meticulous job. A little bit like getting your hair cut. There's an expectation of conversation, I imagine. Do you find it distracting? Does it help you? Like, who's the onus on to lead and guide that conversation? Is it you or is it your client?
There's a relationship and like an energy exchange that happens, and you can kind of pick up on it straight away. When you sit with someone, you kind of feel their energy right away, don't you? And I kind of know which direction this is going to go in. Some people, I can kind of pick up on cues. I look at their bag and they've got headphones or a laptop, and I'm think they might want to be left alone today. Or they might make a lot of eye contact with me, and therefore I feel like their body language, or they might even say it. It's like, oh yeah, and they're telling me about their lives. And my job as a tattoo artist is to not just tattoo them well, it's to give them a good experience. And oftentimes, with life being so busy, this is the only opportunity they get to stop for a little bit. That they get to stop and reflect on things and have a conversation with someone who is genuinely interested in what they've got to say. Because I'm aware that their experience has to be fantastic along with the tattoo, then I'm there to listen, to guide the conversation, to offer any advice I've got from any of the other 3,500 people I've tattooed, or maybe links or people that I know that might be able to help them. And it's the best thing about this. The best thing for me, even though I'm an artist, is not to create a piece of art. It's the energy exchange on the day with the person.
Did you develop that understanding, or did you kind of understand that at the start? Did you start thinking, I have to communicate with these people, or was it kind of like, fuck man, I need to just focus on what I'm doing here a bit?
Well, the first few years I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing, so I had to concentrate hard on tattooing because the machines and the equipment was not always delivering the results that I wanted to get because I was self-taught and I didn't know what I was doing. I learned from watching Miami Ink, pausing it on Sky Plus, and how many needles are in that, like how deep does that look like it's going, you know? So in the first few years I was just got my head down and just wanted to do the best tattoos I could. By default there was good conversations there was some bad conversations because by then I wasn't as selective as I am now, so I would just take anything and anyone. So there were some wild people back then, you know, some that brought guns, some that were trying it on with me. I've got every story under the sun. But more so now, I'm very, very conscious about the connection with that person. And to the degree where I actually curate the person who sits in my seat, I will say no to more people than I accept.
It's a good idea to do, especially if you're going to spend a significant portion of time with people. So how did you get into tattooing? Because I know that you dipped off to Australia for a bit and then you came back and started tattooing, right? So fill me in on the gaps from college into Australia and back.
Oh man. So from college, which I failed art, by the way, just a bit of a motivation for anyone it's around results time now, I believe. So anyone who has failed art, don't worry. There's still hope for you. Failed out in college because I was not motivated whatsoever by the grades. The reward for your artwork and for your hard work in school and college was the grades, so you can then go on to something else, possibly more higher education or a job where you got rewarded by being paid more for your time in a job. again, grades. I was never really purposeful with the art then, because I was doing their structure of the lessons and I wasn't interested in it. It just switched me off. I was 17, 18. I just started going out. I went to an all-boys school, and now I'm at college. It's full of girls. So my motivation was just not there for creating the artwork, and subsequently failed that course. So I couldn't get into uni. So from there, I just kind of bounced around factory jobs, agency work, being paid pennies, just doing a job in some freezer somewhere, and bar work. Because as you've mentioned there, like, it was going off back then. Like, nights out were banging, weren't they?
Did you work in like half of the bars in Staley Bridge?
Most of them, all around Ashton-under-Lyne. I did all the glass collecting, and then moved up. I had to leave Ashton because there was too many murders. Like, I was.
It sounds like a lie. It's not.
That is not a lie. Like, at 16, I witnessed a drive-by.
Was that at Beck's?
That was at Beck. I was stood on the front, and the car come past with a gun hanging out the window.
And,
were you? Well, I was in Beck's. All right. Well, I was stood outside Love Shack, so I was 16. So yeah.
Blacks had put that night on.
Oh, had he? Right. Okay. So I witnessed that shooting. You know, people would repeatedly throw things out of cars at me as I was walking home at 4 a.m. And then the last nail in the coffin was, I was walking home through the Asda subway at like 4 a.m, and I got home, and the next morning, turns out there'd been a random sort of like gang stabbing there. So just killed some guy, said, "Do you want to be in the paper tomorrow?" And that was 10 minutes after I'd walked through. And my mum was like, enough. Seems crazy now to maybe let my kid or your kid walk through that town centre subway at 4 a.m. But back then, it was just all right, you know. I got interviewed for another murder that was in a kebab shop outside the Universal Place, and there was just too much. So then I moved on to Staley Bridge and did the bar circuit there. But in doing that, got in with the wrong crowds. And then as leaving college, these two things collided. I'm in with the wrong crowd. I'm done with higher education. And there's a bit of money to be had in criminality and moving around with these people. So I got in with the wrong people. I was doing dead-end jobs just to kind of then pay for my subsequent habits, which lasted until I was like 21. It was like a really dark 5 or 6 years where I was just an absolute mess. Like, I was like, my parents were ashamed of me. I'd completely ignored my younger brother for those years. I was just getting on it, basically. And not in a party way either. Like, I'd find myself in the town centre alone at 11 a.m. waiting for just something to happen, still wired. You know, it was just, I used to mind a lot of gear for people, so I just had an endless supply. It was just a terrible few years, but, you know, no regrets. It's all added to the story. So what happened then was working up through the bars and working on the bars and managing bars in Staley Bridge, which was then kicking off. And just before that kind of died, I was managing a bar there, but a good friend of mine, he committed suicide in there because of drugs. And at that point, I thought, I've got to get out of here. Something's not right. And what had happened is he'd committed suicide, and we were all like in the bar, kind of hanging around, decompressing. But a load of lads who knew him were showing up, dressed to go out, because there was a night out planned that night. And although he'd killed himself because of his drug addiction, all the lads from the gym still showed up and still went out drinking, doing drugs. And I was like, this is never going to end. I need to get out of here. So that gave me the kick up the arse to just put myself right in outside my comfort zone and go travelling. I sold everything I had and just left. Got a one-way ticket to Australia.
Why Australia?
I think because it's the furthest place possible. But I've done it 2 or 3 times where
Australia.
Life's got really difficult. I've burnt out, and I've just like got this default setting where I used to just go as far away as possible, which is really strange. It was a subconscious thing. It's like, or maybe it was just because people were traveling Oz at that time. I don't know, but it just seemed like I need to go as far away as possible, and it turned out that was the best thing I did, because when being challenged over there, it wasn't easy to come home. The flight was $1,000. It was 24 hours. So you had to really think about, am I going to give up now? And it was over there in Australia is where I really sort of found myself. Like, people say that, don't they? But I really did. I hit rock bottom over there. Zero money, zero support network, zero friends.
Did you go out there not knowing anybody as well? Did you just tip up? Like, where did you land?
So I actually got put in touch with a guy, believe it or not, called Danny Birch. I was like, well, this is fate, so let's go. And he picked me up on day one from Brisbane Airport with just the intention of just putting me up a couple of nights, put me on my feet. And he was a house painter, and I was painting kids' murals at the time, you know, because I've always been artistic, and I'd picked up a paintbrush again, started to do themed bedrooms.
I think I remember you doing those, like Hulk ones, United ones, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So that was kind of just did that on the side as well as the bars. So I thought I'll go over there and do that. And anyway, he was a house painter. He gave me a job. But when I got to his house, he had 8 cats. And I was allergic to cats at the time. And I was like, oh man, I can't stay here. So I was thrust into, it was a proving ground, Australia. 12 months of up and down, real no money, no support network. And I was really forced to find what I'm made of out there. And I made it work. It wasn't until the visa expired that I had to leave. But something happened out there, is that when I was planning to leave, I needed some work doing on this arm finishing off. Now, the tattooist that was doing that for me in the local place was really good, and he was really kind. Now, any tattooist that I'd spoke to before in the UK, as we kind of know with the UK energy, it was very paranoid, very unwilling to share information. So anyone I'd asked, like, what are you doing there? You know, if you go to a tattoo shop with a friend of yours, I might want to ask the tattoo artist, like, what are you using that for? What does that pen do? And they'd literally say, fuck off. I'm not telling you, because I know what you're going to do. You're going to set up by yourself. Like, really sort of paranoid. You know, instead of saying, do you want a job here? And I'll tell you. It was really sort of the opposite way. So this guy, Nick, he was called, Caloundra Tattoo Studio. Forever grateful to this guy. And I have messaged him a couple of times.
Brisbane, is it?
It's just north of Brisbane, the Sunshine Coast, yeah. He was really, really generous and really kind as he was doing this, and I was asking all the questions. He told me everything, and he gave me a list of everything I'd need to go and start up. So when I had my fun and came home, that's exactly what I did. I came home completely penniless, but with a wealth of experience in finding myself, and I was ready to go. I was like, right, all the shit's gone. The drug addictions and everything's all behind me. All that's in my past. I'm going to come home, and if I can make it here with no support network, imagine what I can do in Manchester.
Do you think there's a requirement almost for, I'm going to say people, but for sure lads, to almost go through a level of hardship to sort of appear out on the other side and go through something?
Absolutely. How do you expect to have any depth and weight of character without some sort of hardship? And in my experience now, at my age 40, multiple different types of hardships and traumas and challenges. You're familiar with the hero's journey? Mm. Yeah, it's pretty much any Tom Cruise film from the 80s and 90s, yeah? Fighter pilot, sick at his job, goes through this massive trauma, wants to quit, finds someone who nudges him on the shoulder, Nick, tattooist, yeah? Rebuilds himself, comes back with a wealth of knowledge and weight and depth of character, applies that to his previous skills. That was a fighter jet analogy, that. Yeah. And Days of Thunder as well. And, you know, most Cars, Disney's Cars film, you know what I mean? It's there, the hero's journey. So to answer your question, absolutely, yeah. And I think if you meet someone, you can tell whether they've been through something. You can tell in their eyes straight away. You can tell by the way they deal with small challenges. Let's say the coffee shop gets their order wrong. How do they react to that little thing? It's like,
no perspective.
Yeah, man. You've got no perspective. You've got no depth, no weight. And there's a lot of young people now making tons of money from the internet through TikTok or through OnlyFans or whatever that think they've made it because they've got dough. But they will never have those hardships that create that weight and depth of character, and I pity them. So because where I'm at now, like, it couldn't be any better because of what I've been through.
So you land back in town, and we've got an idea and a fire, and you want to go and be a tattooist. Going from that to now, I don't think it's a straight linear line. How does that start? How do you get, like you said, UK culture? There's not, I don't think there certainly wasn't, that I'm aware of, tattooing apprenticeships or places that you can go and learn. YouTube probably wasn't the resource it is now in terms of like, can I just watch a load of videos and get to grips with this? So what was the first step?
The first step was actually asking a studio for an apprenticeship. I thought, I'll try and do this the proper way. And after the first no, I just thought, I can't.
Where was that?
It was in a local studio in Duckingfield. And after the first no, I thought, I can't let my life be at the whim of someone else. I can't let someone else say no to me and then not go through with it. So I thought, right, I've got this list that Nick gave me. I was completely penniless. I had zero money left. So I lent £626 off my mum. She believed in me. She was sick of seeing me throw money at Tattooist, so she decided to, want to see me on the other side of it. And my mum's been a really good source of support. She didn't have a lot of money. She was always very reluctant to invest in things like that and help me out, but she also, wanted to see me win. So, thankfully, very grateful. She did lend me that £626, and she got it back to the pound. Like, I remember giving her 620. She was like, "Where's the 6?" I was like, maybe 5 or 6 years later. So she's fantastic, my mum. Yeah, she's always helped out. And down the line, I retired her from 37 years working in a bank. She came and worked for me for 10 years. So I paid that back tenfold. And she still works for me to this day now. She just looks after the place.
That's awesome.
So we went from there. It was just a matter of, there was no fake skins. There was no YouTube. There was no apprenticeship. So where the hell do we start? There's a saying that when you start tattooing, you need stupid friends who will let you practice on them. And, I wouldn't call him stupid, but I had a good friend who was willing. And he was like, yeah, I'll let you have a go with me, but you got to tattoo me for free forever. I said, he must trust me. And that's what we did. I remember doing a skull crossbones with an 8-ball, like the most typical flash tattoo design you could think of.
How bad was that tattoo?
Oh man, his leg looked like mincemeat. Black ink rubbed in it. It was absolutely shocking. It was so bad. Man, I was bad for years. And I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. It was 8 years into my tattoo career that actually it clicked. I was like, hang on, is that 10,000 hours thing? Something has just clicked where I don't have to think anymore. And it was 8 years in. I remember the week almost celebrating it, thinking, wow, I'm actually getting good at this now. 8 years in. So anyway, I went from tattooing my friend in my conservatory with all this cheap Chinese equipment. This 80 quid suitcase from China showed up with this terrible equipment in it. The machine would throw the needle out irregular. Boom. Which if you know in my game, that's not good because it's gone too deep and the ink's now swimming underneath the skin. It's terrible. And it hurt him and it chopped him up. So I went from that to practicing on him a little bit more to then having the courage to put it on Facebook. Now, back in those days, people were really engaged with Facebook and it actually pushed your posts. Now it kind of restricts a lot. And I do remember sitting in my bedroom at home, typing the status out. I do tattoos now. Would anyone like one? Inbox me. I don't think we said DM back then. Inbox me. And I did that and I was like, I remember sweating, shitting myself thinking, because I'm doing this illegally at home and all the studios around here know I'm doing it and they don't like me. And I remember just going, fuck it. Don't. Make my inbox, my DMs just lit up. And within a couple of weeks, I remember my dad was walking out onto the landing. He'd woke up at about 10, 11 a.m. And there was a queue of people down the landing, down the stairs, and a queue of cars down the street. And he said, mate, you've got to get out. It's time to go and set up a studio. I was like, all right. So straight back to Facebook. I need a studio. Blah, blah, blah. And someone popped up, said, I'm opening one in Reddish. Do you want to come and work for me? That was it. Went to Reddish. Experienced a street shop in a rough neighbourhood. There were shootings in the pub over the road. It was, I don't know, you're a football guy, right? I'm not. It was half blue, half red. In my eyes, that's destined for
The pub was.
Yeah.
There was March Air was a bit like that, which is why it's probably shut down now.
Well, this one it's been levelled because they were shooting each other. So anyway, imagine tattooing outside. The studio was directly opposite that pub. On match days, I would have to pull the shutter down because it sounded like the Wild West outside. It was a nightmare. But in there, I experienced so much good stuff. Like people walking in with like £3.62 saying, "What can I get for this?" 18-year-olds.
Meal deal.
Yeah, meal deal. 18-year-olds wanting barcodes on their necks. And even then, I'll tell you something, and I think this is the thing that's really made me stand out over 17 years to be so successful, is that I would always ask people why. So that 18-year-old comes in and wants a barcode on his neck, and I'd only just started tattooing. I said, "Why do you want that?" And he couldn't answer me. So I said no and sent him off. Like there was just something in me that thought, I just don't want to tattoo anything on anyone. It needs to have some kind of meaning, or I'm responsible for that person's skin, and whatever I put on them's there forever. So I'm so glad I didn't. And that, Australia was a proving ground for my character and a turning point, and this was a proving ground for what it looks like to be on a street shop. And then I started getting this desire to level up my clientele. People who took me seriously, people who wanted more elaborate things, people that did have stories to tell that wanted me to tell them with a tattoo. So I felt this draw towards Cheshire. Being from the outskirts of Manchester, it was a working class deprived area, and I'd kind of tattooed that clientele for a few years now. I was like, I want to just like move to a nicer place. I eventually would like to live there. So I got a job in Congleton, and I got a completely different perspective. The best thing about me now is the amount of different perspectives I've got. And the perspective from that second shop was that it was run by a businessman. The place was insane. It had Victorian, white, is it called wattle and daub? I can't remember. That's something I learned in high school. The white walls with the black beams. And it had it was all Victorian looking, and it had secret doors in it and Chesterfields. The guy must have spent 150 grand on the fit out. And when I got in there, day one, the guy who was managing the shop had just been given the job from being a shelf stacker at Tesco's. And he's telling me what to do and how much money I can earn. And again, I don't like being told what to do. I've got a real problem with that. I'm an artist for one, and I'm just a stubborn man too. So this shelf stacker who's just got a job managing a tattoo shop was telling me what I should charge and what I should do, and I hated it, man. I absolutely hated it.
What's the business model for you in that? Is it not like hairdressers where they rent a chair and crack on, or is it like an employee thing?
So in the first studio, I basically just give him a tenner an hour for the tattoos that I did, which is not done anymore. Now it's more chair rents or commission based. That second one was diabolical, and it didn't last long. Every artist that was there left. I lasted 2 weeks. And that's because they were managing all the appointments. They wanted full control. He was a businessman. So he was treating it like a business. And it's not so much like that. There's a lot more creativity, and there's a lot more of a personal touch to tattooing. So this businessman was taking all the bookings, and I would just sit there and someone would show up and they'd say, this is what they want. And there's the money for it. And I remember for a £250 portrait that I would have got at the other studio, for this one I got 55 quid. I was like, this ain't going to work either. But I started 2 or 3 people that week. So I stayed and committed to finishing off their projects before I left, because also one of my reasons I'm so successful now is because of my dedication to clients. They're the lifeblood of everything. Without them, this whole thing's gone. And I've heard so many horror stories that even in the early days, I was just committed to making sure they have the good experience and they're seen to properly. Yeah.
Well, do you know what's mad is, before I started YouTube, I worked in scaffolding for a little bit. Any building that we built, and scaffolding don't build anything, it provides access for other people to build stuff. But any building that we've either renovated or built, I built that. I walk around town. We did the town hall. I walk around town, I get a bit of pride going, yeah, we did that. We was part of that renovation. I can't imagine 3,500 human beings walking around with your art on their skin for life must give you a real buzz.
I've got goosebumps now, just because you said it.
How often do you see those people? And what's the sort of reaction that you have? Because you spent a significant amount of time. I mean, what's the quickest tattoo that you even do? An hour?
Yeah. The quickest tattoo I've ever done was, I don't know, 90 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was recently. It was one of the most viral and one of the most impactful and emotional tattoos I've ever done. And I didn't charge him either.
What is it?
It was a love heart in a forearm.
Why was it viral?
Because it was a very emotional story. So let's say, for example, to what you just said, so we're not just running away with ourselves. If I've put something on this person's skin, on this story that I'm going to tell you now, it's on her forever, and it means a lot. And it means a lot not because of the reason she got it, but because of the way that I did it. She wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me. She didn't want it. So she didn't want it. It didn't take me long. I didn't charge her, and it was the most viral, the most impactful tattoo I've ever done. That's the power of a tattoo. She was in her 60s, and her and her husband had lost their son, who was our age, in a car crash in Perth, Australia. They came over to visit family because it had only recently happened, and he wanted a tattoo. So he's asked around. My name came up, as it does, and he's come in and sat there and got this tattoo for his son. She came with him because they were on holiday. They were visiting here together. Mm. And as I was doing the tattoo, this is where my level of care comes in. My brain starts spinning. And I had to ask her, I said, are you going to get one? And she said, oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure. And I said, because if you are going to get a tattoo for your son, it needs to be from me at least, if not right now. I said, because I'm doing his. And she's like, oh, I'm not really sure. So I left it. I didn't want to press. You know, they were grieving hard. Mm. And over the next 10, 20 minutes, because his was quite a substantial size tattoo, over the next 10, 20 minutes, I visited it again and just said, look, if you were going to get anything, have you put any thought into it, what you might get? And she said, I was thinking of getting a love heart maybe somewhere. She didn't point there. She said, a love heart somewhere. I said, why? And this was as I was tattooing a fella. She said, because I've got this necklace on and it's a love heart, right? And it's flat, but the center love heart has been punched out of it. And this is from a company, a really fantastic company. And they put that love heart in your loved one's hands when they cremated. Yeah. And she was wearing it. So then I left it alone again. I backed off, carried on tattooing. And then I had a really good idea. I said, listen, what if you take that necklace off? You can watch me trace the love art that's actually missing from the center of there, the one that went with him. And I will tattoo that on you there so that you can look down and see it forever. And if you don't want people to see it, you can turn your arm in, and they don't. And she thought on it, she stewed on it. She said, you know what, I'll do it. And I said, you know what, I don't want any money off you. I said, I just want to be the person who does that for you. And she went for it, and I made it look metallic. And it's not just some vectored heart off Google. It's not anything. She watched me take that off, trace it. So she's wearing the one that was sent with him. And you asked me, what does it feel like to have people walking around with something on them that I've done? Until the day she dies, on her deathbed, she's going to see that. And she's not only going to remember the meaning of it, she's going to remember the day. She's going to remember me. She's going to remember the level of care that she got. And I hold that power as a tattooist. And I don't take that for granted. I feel honoured all the time to be able to do that.
You spoke a little bit about the why. You said you don't like 18-year-olds coming in, getting a barcode, something trendy. How important is the why with tattooing?
Depends who tattoos you. Street shops that need money and don't have any morals, why means fuck all. The why is pay me, yeah? Whereas for me, I need to know why, because I've made a lot of tattoo mistakes on myself. You ask me why I got this, and this, and this. I couldn't tell you. And if you've got the choice to make, you can make a good choice. Why? Then why not make that? Rather than just rush something. I don't believe in rushing tattoos. You want one because you've turned 18. You want one because your friends have got one. You want one because you've just had a, student loan or some money's come through and you just think tattoo's the thing I'm going to get.
Yeah, got an extra 2 ton.
Yeah, I've got an extra 2 ton. Let's go and get it, but I want it now. It's like, no, just hang on. Just slow down a bit. And if you've not got a why now, wait until you have. You know, I've got my arse cheeks that are still left bare because I'm waiting for a why to come along, and that's something I'll get on them. People rushing into tattoos, man. It's no good. There's also a why that doesn't have so much meaning behind it. Tattoo is art, and art looks fucking cool, doesn't it? And you might get
it's fucking cool is a why.
Yeah, cool. That's exactly right. That's what I was going to say. So the fact that I've got a massive tiger on my side here, right? And I saw the image and I would instantly thought that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I've got this massive space. I'm getting it. So I got it. It took 6 days. Yeah, it was very expensive, and I went to a really good guy, award-winning guy, and got this thing. Now, someone says, "What does that mean? What's the story behind it?" I'll say,
"Cool tiger."
Other than it looking really fucking cool, there is none. But if you think about the meaning there, I'm actually projecting to everyone who sees that, non-verbally, that I think this is a fucking cool tattoo. And other people who think that's fucking cool, we connect with them. So there is meaning to it. It's like if I just decided, fuck it, I'll have a big swastika on my side because just whatever.
Well, it's going to signal something.
It signals something, so it means something. It might not have meaning or a story, but it certainly means something, yeah. So I think if you dig deep enough, there's always a why.
Do you prefer the deep and meaningful whys? Do you think they're the things that you connect with the most when someone comes in and you goes, I need this because of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. When there's a deeper why, I like it because I get to really pull their story apart and I can draw reference and inspiration from so many different places. Where if someone comes in and says, I want a Marvel sleeve, I'm equally as excited about that because the references out there, man, they're so good.
The visuals are cool.
Yeah, the visuals are amazing. It's like they've already been perfectly customized to look good as tattoos. They're just great. But I don't get to dive deep into them, but I still really, really enjoy doing them. So I think they balance out that way.
So we skipped quite ahead there, but obviously you got your first, your second shop. At what point did you go, I'm opening my own place? And obviously you mentioned it took a good 8 years before you felt comfortable tattooing. Where was that in the journey?
Oh, I'd already opened my own shop before I felt comfortable. Like I'm really both feet in kind of person. And
I think people need to do that. I mean, tattooing's maybe it is the industry to do it in, maybe it's not the industry to do it in, but I think that I don't know if anyone's ever ready to do anything that they do. I don't think you're ever ready to be a parent. I don't think you're ever ready to drive when you first get your license. I don't think you're ready to drink when you're first allowed to. I think learning once you're allowed to do stuff and is part of the journey, I think.
Yeah. I mean, tattooing people is different because your mistakes are permanent, right? So you could really do with some guidance on that. Don't jump 2 feet into that. There's so many resources out there now, you know, including myself. I coach a load of people. And I've trained like 11 apprentices. Like there's so many online academies, there's in-person academies. There's so many different ways you can learn how to actually navigate and use a tattoo machine and the equipment. But in terms of opening the business, yeah, man, just start now and perfect it later. So at the point where that studio was trying to govern me and tell me what I can earn and what I should do and what I shouldn't do and who I should tattoo, I said, fuck this. I'm going to open my own place. And as it happened, a place came up really cheap. I think it was like 200 quid a month for a small triangular room. It was like the most awkward place ever.
Where's this?
It was in Bottom Mosley. So you might remember the place called Casey's that did all the fire trap clothes in Bottom Mosley.
Is that near the train station?
Bottom Mosley train station, yeah, there was a mill down there, and every now and then they'd have like a flash sale of loads of second clothes. It was all fire trap clothes.
On the way to Herod?
Yeah.
Through Herod? Yeah, I do actually.
It was in there. It was run by a very colourful character. He just wanted cash. It's like you weren't in there. If anyone ever asked for him, you didn't know him. One of those types of guys.
HMRC, come.
Yeah.
My name's
John. Mate, the fire brigade were coming. People in balaclavas were coming. There's all sorts. No, I don't know him. I just rent this room. So that was the start of me just wanting to do things my own way. I just need to do this my way. And whether it's the right way or not, I don't know. but I cannot have someone else telling me what to do. I had no respect for the business owner. I had no respect for the other studio owner. I had no respect for the person who, said no to my apprenticeship. I did, because I'd heard so many horror stories about them all. And I said, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to be client focused, and I'm going to make sure that every single tattoo I do is better than the one I did before. And before long, man, I was doing 6 days a week, 13 hours a day, tattooing 4 people a day, consultations in between. Retired my younger brother, who just failed college. I said to my parents, he's following my route here. So he's got an opportunity, I'll teach him how to tattoo instead. So he came on. And then not long after that, retired my mum. The place just grew and grew and grew. The reputation that I had overall, and then the studio had, just grew and grew. And then some artists started coming to us. That was a big turning point when, aspiring tattooists came to me and said, we want to work here.
That was when you opened the shop front.
That's when I made the place bigger, took 2 artists on that were local artists that wanted to learn how to tattoo.
Who were that?
So one was called Sam Barber, one was called Ash Hyam, like 2 of the best and well-known tattooists in the Manchester area. We've bred some of the best tattooists in Manchester from that place, yeah. And they stayed with us for maybe 4 or 5 years before moving on and opening their own studios. So that place grew and grew, and it grew to the point where we outgrew the building. And also the fact that, it was still just a cash lease. I wanted something in concrete, And my father, my kid's granddad, I'm not in that relationship anymore. He's had businesses. And I remember he sat me down and he said, I can see that this thing that you're building is got legs. It could really be something. You need to make a decision. You either keep it small like this and be very, very busy and just stack cash under the mattress and avoid the tax man and keep it where it is, or you can run it to the moon until the wheels fall off. I said, because I think it's got potential to do something great. I said, but I'm just letting you know now, you either stop now at this point or fucking go, mate. And me being me, I was like, let's fucking go. It wasn't even a question. Let's fucking go.
What was the sort of operational change to take it from being... Because I can see being a tattooist, it's a job. How do you remove yourself from being a tattooist that earns while you're not tattooing?
I've burnt out maybe officially 3 times as a tattooist, and the reason is because I was trying to be a business owner as well at the same time. Fortunately, at the time, the business was growing, and I was able to afford to retire my mum. She was in Lloyd's Bank, on TSB Bank, for 37 years, and I noticed that she was coming home with her head down, and I said, what's up? And she said, I just can't do this anymore. She's 5 years from retirement, full pension. I'd already brought my brother over. Things were going really well. We were in a steep upward trajectory. I said, how do you fancy sitting on my reception? Because I'm currently tattooing 4 people a day, consultations in between. I'm cleaning the place. I'm stopping to greet people as they come in. I'm doing everything. And I was at Burnout. And she said, do you know what? She trusted me. She said, okay, I'll do it. So in terms of operations, we were ready to grow. We were primed and ready. We'd totally outgrown that building. I mean, that building was so cool, man. I had like broken clocks all on the back wall, and I had hand-painted murals of tiny little mice running between them all, fixing them. And I'd like glued little watch cogs to all the little hands and stuff. Like, we went in hard, man. Every single wall, everywhere you looked, you had to walk through a vintage French hand-carved wardrobe to get in there that was full of fur coats. Like, we went in hard, mate. I was like, this is going to be like everything that it could possibly be. I'm going to maximize it. I said, everywhere you look, I want people to think, that's cool, or that must have been hard to do, or where did they get that idea from?
And all of this is deliberate.
It's all deliberate, because I thought if somebody's marking your skin for life, you want them to be at least creative with the interior of the building. So many studios were just plain and clinical, or dirty and heavy metal everywhere. I said, I want people to feel excited and wonder when they come in here. And I always remembered, like, in Alton Towers, when you would queue for one of the rides, and they put effort into the experience of being in the queue. Let's say that the haunted mansion or something, you'd be going through graveyards and stuff, wouldn't you? So I was like, I want people to have an experience, a journey through this building before they even get to me. So that's exactly what we did.
That signals attention to detail.
Yeah.
Which is what you want when you're going to be doing permanent artwork on someone's skin for life, innit?
Now, add that to putting effort into the customer journey, customer care. Man, I once had a popcorn machine and my receptionist was standing there wafting the smell of popcorn around. No one ate the popcorn, but I know that popcorn makes people feel excited.
Right.
When you go to a cinema, you smell popcorn, you're excited, aren't you? So I was like, this place can smell popcorn. Let's see. I've put so much effort into the customer experience over the years. And even now we've got a piano that's turned into a sink. And everywhere you look, if there was like a blank space that kept catching my eye, I would like chop some books up and stick them in there, like vintage books or something. But they go, oh, look at that. The toilets are all torn out encyclopedias, like stuck to the wall, so you've got something to read when you're in there.
Talk to me about Burnout. You almost quit, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So I burnt out maybe 3 times. And like I said, one was because I'd been broke for many, many years, hit rock bottom a few times. And then when someone paid me £10, £20 for a tattoo, I was like, I've found the golden tap here. I'm not going to let this go. So I just like ran it and I burnt myself out. I'd never experienced it before. I was completely burnt out.
It's like phase 1.
Oh man, I was
I've got a new skill.
Yeah.
I'm going to run it until I burn out.
This thing works. This thing works. Everything else I've done has not worked before. I've hated everything before. But this thing works, so watch me go and go as hard as I can. I knew nothing about work-life balance. So I burnt out. And once again, weirdly enough, ran to Australia. Went and did 2 weeks there. Went to a wedding, just chilled on the beach. Like, I don't know, something happens. I keep just running away to the other side of the world. So, yeah, that was it. And then we moved to the next one. But when you're talking about when I wanted to quit was in recent years. I think I was 13 years in. And, man, I was at, like, the pinnacle of my tattoo career. Everything was going well. People were coming far and wide from around the world to my studio. I had 11 tattooists at the studio, 3 staff, and a laser clinic. I had like one of the biggest tattoo studios in Europe with a very good reputation because I was leading the charge. I've scared artists off, a lot of them, is because I was over the shoulder going, don't leave them waiting this long. Have you spoke to that person yet? I've sent you an email last week and I've noticed that you've still not read it. I was on them because I give a shit about the customer experience, and these tattooists along the way just didn't. They were a bit too flaky. So it got to the point where 13 years in, something really strange started happening. I was really, really flat. Flat as in just not feeling the love for it anymore that I did.
When is this timeline-wise?
So I've been tattooing 13 years. It was just before COVID.
Right.
Yeah. So that was just before COVID, and something really, really strange happened where at the time I was charging £600 a day. And at the end of the day, I would say to someone, just call it 580. Just call it 550. Because something was off. And it took me quite a bit of time to realise that what was off was that I wasn't doing it purposefully anymore. Do you know, like I said, I failed art because I was chasing grades. I was failing tattooing because I was just chasing an income. This was my purpose on this planet. I was given these abilities and they were nurtured by my grandparents and my parents growing up. And then I was just doing it for money. How disrespectful is that to God or to the universe or whatever you want to say? And as a result, I felt like shit. I was showing up late. My health was suffering. Clients became a burden when they showed up. I'd sometimes wish they didn't show up. Oh, fuck, they're here. And then I was thinking, what is going on? And then I started looking for other income streams. I set up other businesses, got into CBD, got into skincare and tattooing, even though that was the thing, the golden tap moment. All of a sudden now, I wish it would just go away because it was driving me mad. And only like looking back on it now do I realise it's because I wasn't doing it with purpose. And fortunately, I met an online coach who reignited that fire in me and made me realise it. And at the point where I wanted to quit, I met this guy, and then within a few short months, I turned the whole thing around and was doing it purposefully, doing it with purpose, you know, in service of other people instead of for money. And in a short time, I was earning more money and being completely fulfilled, tattooing people who were having a better experience.
What did they do? How did they change that?
The coach, how did they change that? It sometimes takes people from the outside to look in and think that you maybe have a lot of potential that you're not fulfilling. And he could see that in me. I met him in an online networking thing. He rang me just to connect because he was an artist as well. And then he said, man, you're doing this all wrong, man. He said, you're doing it for the money and not for the higher power, the higher purpose.
The craft.
Yeah, the craft. Everyone's been given a gift in this life. Every single person has. And I think our job on this life is to find out what it is and maximize the potential of it. So I'd found mine, but I wasn't maximizing the potential of it. In fact, I was trying to get out of it because it wasn't working for me. And it wasn't working for me because I was looking for an out. I was throwing myself off the ship sort of thing. So what I did was I closed everything. I think I had 7 projects going at once because I was desperate to...
I remember the CBD one. I had some of you.
Mate, I smashed it. I did 40k in its first year. I was on BBC Radio Manchester. Yeah, we were smashing it. It was really good stuff. But is that my purpose in life? No. I don't care about curing people's anxiety and arthritis. I'm happy for people that it helped, but that's not my purpose, and it's not what I'm known for, is it? Everyone knows me as Danny Birch, Tattooist. So when I decided to then focus on that and maximize its potential, which came by way of a cancer scare, the real kick up the arse. I was kind of learning from my coach, and then when we came back after COVID, got cancer, and then going through that experience was what really sort of aligned me with not just the practical things that I need to do, but the inner shift I need to make and the gratitude that I need to express every single day for the gifts that I've been given because I was neglecting them.
Well, I think there's a couple of things you've touched on there, which I think this podcast is accidentally sort of uncovering: purpose, health, mindset. When one of those or all of those is off, it manifests in depression, in doing the things that you think you love to do, now you don't love to do. You can end up having, from a personal point of view, your relationships feel off because of it. But you rewrite those, you fix those dominoes, and obviously you've gone through a bit of a health transformation as well. Is that on the back of the cancer scare?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, that was kind of like the final thing that needed to happen to me to just let go and go, right, okay, I'm going to stop messing around now. I'm going to stop trying to do this, and this. This is who I am. This is what I'm good at. And this is the life that I want to lead. What do I need to actually do to do that? And that's when I started doing a lot of work on myself and completely transformed my life, my mind and everything. And I think you said depression there. It's a hot topic at the minute, isn't it? A lot of people leaning on it. I think depression, personally, my opinion is that it's an alarm bell going off to tell you the purpose, the health, the mindset is not in order.
Yeah, it's a symptom.
Yeah,
it's not a state, it's a symptom.
Yeah. If ever there's been a time where I felt like that, I think, well, what's off then? And usually it's something that I'm doing. Oh, fuck, I've been lying in bed too long. And then I've not been doing the admin that I need to do. And therefore, 90 days later, my income's affected. Shit, all right, I'll do it. Or
you've got slack in the gym.
Yeah, I've got slack in the gym. And
you've had too many Twix on the way home from work.
I physically feel like shit. And my body and my brain is letting me know that by making me feel depressed. So I better change it. It's like just an alarm bell going off.
So what did you fix? How did you get back in shape?
So
because you are looking pretty svelte at the minute, kid.
I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life now at 40. And it's because I invested into myself. I got coaches. I did the blood work. I did everything, And thanks a lot to podcasting and YouTube. Because the amount of resources that are out there, people who say they can't get in shape or they can't find information are just fucking lazy. It's on your phone. It's all there. There's millions and millions of videos out there that are useful to you right now if you want to get in shape.
the thing about getting in shape is it was never a knowledge thing. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. If you nip the diet in and you exercise, you get in better shape. I don't think that's ever been a thing. I don't know what the block is on stopping people do it. Because obviously you got out of shape, I got out of shape, and it's almost like it's hard to explain how to get back into shape because you're like, you know exactly what to do. And anyone watching this, you know exactly what to do. Yeah. Sometimes it's just getting out of your own way to do it.
Yeah.
It's to be uncomfortable. Honestly, once you start, it actually is harder to stop. Like, I think momentum is the biggest thing. Yeah. You get momentum doing the wrong thing. You can get momentum doing the right thing. The stop and course correction is the hardest thing. But once you get 3, 4, 5, 7 days in, that momentum is behind you then. And then you will go in that direction.
Yeah. It comes back to the why as well. Why do you want to get in shape? I had a very, very powerful why after getting away with cancer and seeing a lot of people in those waiting rooms that didn't. I looked up at the sky every time I walked out of the hospital every Thursday after getting my dressings changed and said thank you to the sky, like, thank you for letting me walk out of there. Please let me walk out of there next week.
And then that's a promise to the universe, I'm going to stop fucking about.
Yeah. And I remember this was the first time I ever personified the universe, was when I walked out of there after seeing kids, people whose skin was hanging off in the waiting room, looking up at the sky, and first time I ever visualized that it was a person. Thank you for letting me walk out of here. And I made a promise, like, if I get away with this, because it was like a 9-week period where I was going through the treatments. If I get away with this, I promise that I'm going to maximize my existence on this planet. Watch what I do.
That's a phrase you've said about 3 times since you've been in there.
I tattooed it on somebody a few years ago in America, and it stuck with me. He had maximize existence written on him. And I thought that's the most powerful thing, or the powerful bit of advice you can give anyone at any age.
You say that every day?
If someone asks, yeah. Usually when I'm talking to customers, yeah, that comes up. Maximize your existence at whatever phase of life you're in right now. You know?
It's a good quote.
Yeah. I mean, it covers everything, doesn't it? I'm going to maximise my existence today. Last night, mate, it was warm out. It's Manchester. It's very rarely warm out.
Fucking red as I couldn't sleep last night with it.
So what did I do? I maximised my existence and went and sat in the bonnet of my Grenadier, which is my dream car, and smoked a cigar in the bonnet with my top off. No one was there, just me. But I was like looking up at the stars thinking, I'm doing it. Thanks for letting me off with all that. I'm doing it. And thanks for all the things that have happened since then. My baby, my missus, my house in the country. Thank you for all those things. Look at me maximising this existence. Putting fucking nicotine in my lungs.
But to be fair, I enjoyed that. I took my daughter to Torside last year, and we sat and ate pizza on the front of the Defender, overlooking Torside, and watched the sunset. And it is the simple shit like that which really colours in life, I think.
Yeah. It's not always like that, is it? It's difficult. It's challenging, especially as a man who's providing for people.
Yeah, you can't just fuck off and do that every afternoon.
No. So when you do it, you say thanks, be grateful for it. And I see that as maximising existence. This is what I'm doing. When I'm in the gym, I'm like, I'm going to maximise my existence in this gym now. I'm not just going to come here and fuck around.
What did you change health-wise?
So I've had a thyroid problem since I was 18. So year 1 in college, I was like a rake. I was getting all the girls. It was fantastic. And then something happened over the Christmas break. In 2 weeks, I put a stone of weight on. And it was all water weight. Something had happened to my hormones. I ended up with big purple stretch marks all on my sides, all down my arms. I thought, what the fuck's gone on here? So I went to the doctors. The guy just prodded and poked and said, "You're just fat, aren't you?" that was the beginning of my...
Cheers, Doc.
Yeah, that was the beginning of my lack of trust for the NHS. Put me on meds, which didn't work. So I yo-yoed in weight, and I was tortured by the symptoms of that for 20 years. But then out the back of the cancer thing, I thought, well, if I'm going to maximise my existence, if I've got away with this thing, I better go and start seeing people who really know what they're talking about. And like, I'm really fortunate, it's 2025, there's a lot of experts out there now that are being very vocal online. So found one, I trusted them, and I paid them what they wanted, and I did a 3-month program with them. And I had also had asthma for 35 years. I don't have asthma, and I don't have a thyroid problem anymore. They've gone.
What did you do?
First of all, we did an elimination diet, as well as the introduction of superfoods. So anything in bold on the back of a label, or anything that spikes my cortisol, which was caffeine, training too hard, any stress in my life, gone. So I closed my business, which was my studio of 13 years, which I loved. Closed it because it was stressing me out, because there's nothing more important than me. If I go down, then everyone goes down. I eliminated all allergens from food and stopped drinking caffeine for a bit. And within a month, I was off all meds. I've not touched any meds since. Used to have a pill a day. And then slowly reintroduced things. And because I'm so clean and optimal now, I'm very sensitive to what doesn't serve me at all. I'm just not good with gluten at all. I can have caffeine, I can have dairy, but gluten has to stay away. And I'm really not good with stress. My mind can cope with stress because I've been tested, but my body just seems to take ages to detoxify the cortisol that spikes when... And I know this because the blood showed it. She said, look, it's right there.
You think that's what happened at college?
I don't know what it was in college, mate. I got to the point where I was eating cocaine because my nose couldn't take it anymore. So I'm guessing that stressed my body out.
Might have had something to do with it.
Yeah. That's something
Probably not on anyone's top 5 things to do for a healthy existence.
No, I was tipping full grams of cocaine into triple vodka Red Bulls, so that might have been what did it.
It's always the Red Bull, innit?
Yeah, it was the Red Bull's fault.
Yeah, the Red
There
Bull.
was nothing wrong with the lidocaine in the coke. Like, it was fine. So, man, I just optimized my health, and now that you said the dominoes before, I usually use the house of cards analogy. The health's the bottom row of a house of cards is your health, and it seemed like when that was in order, and I felt good, and I had energy, and I was waking up, and I felt good. I've then got energy to put into other things. I think I will walk the dog. I think I will, it's 10 o'clock at night and the dog's not been walked. I think I will walk him. And then I have the benefits from that. It's a very holistic approach. And it was actually called Holistic Health, the coach. She said, it's not just what you eat. I was training so hard to try and get a good physique that I was burning myself out and frying my adrenals so that there was no recovery. So I wasn't getting the results because I was training too hard. So I've just brought everything down, I've managed everything, and now I'm kind of sat with exactly what I know. I know how much I need to eat, I know what I need to avoid. I don't drink alcohol so much anymore.
The alcohol one's an interesting one. We just come back from pre-season tour in America. I had an occasional beer. Kind of need it a little bit. It's a little bit intense meeting fans, and having fans is a very weird thing. And I don't cope well with it. My head kind of fell off a little bit on the last Saturday in there. Can't explain why. Just get like a pure panic attack, and it's people being fucking really nice to you and telling you what's going on, and I can't handle it. I had to run away. Just like week on Saturday ago. But we only had one night out while we were there. And I've had a few nights out over the last few months. And I'm almost to the point where we've had a couple of people on the pod. Obviously, Jay's, I think, he's 13 years sober now, something like that. And you're thinking, I don't actually know. Well, he's 11 years sober, World Cup 2014. I don't actually know, especially considering how we know each other, where alcohol fits into a future.
It doesn't.
As we sit in a bar, yeah. I fucking love rum. But I'm increasingly thinking, doesn't serve anything. No. I don't know if that was a factor in my head falling off in Atlanta. We've had a few beers over the course of the time being here. It seems like, I think Lance Armstrong that said this on a podcast I saw, doesn't know anyone that's gotten off alcohol who regrets it.
No. My life is become increasingly better since I quit it. And if I could push a button and go back, I wouldn't push that button. So why would I push the button? Now, I'm not teetotal. I will drink only with intention if I think it's going to amplify the experience.
I think I'm in the exact same thing. I'm not a regular drinker at all anymore. But I will go on a night out. I mean, I'm going to Oasis this weekend. I'm having a beer.
Ask yourself this question if you're thinking of getting off the alcohol, but you want one. Is it going to amplify that experience? I think having 3 or 4 beers at an Oasis gig outdoor is going to switch off all the worry about emails, worry about the kids, and it's going to allow you to sit in the energy of that gig and enjoy it more. Yeah,
24 might not.
No, is getting wasted at going to amplify that experience? No, because you're not going to pay attention to the music. No. You're probably going to have a row with someone. You're going to be rough as fuck the day after, and you're just going to, in a couple of years' time, you'll be like, oh, do you remember that Oasis gig? No, not really, no. So it's not going to amplify the experience, is it? Now, I don't eat cake. I'm gluten intolerant, so I'll have an espresso martini as a dessert. And let me tell you, that amplifies my fucking meals every single time. Or if I'm at a garden barbecue and the sun's cooking, or if you was at Wimbledon or something, an Aperol Spritz goes down fucking really well. 1 or 2 of them, max. And it does amplify my experience. But that's it. Like,
well, right here, that beer garden, Stevenson Square. Let me tell you, on a Friday, there cannot be a better place on earth to be than Stevenson Square when it's 31 degrees and the beer is painfully cold in your hand.
Yeah.
Now, 8 or 9 of them is probably problematic, but just 1. Yeah, does it amplify the experience? I think it probably does.
Yeah, it does. So the story with me quitting alcohol starts at Lent. We went out for a meal and it was Pancake Tuesday, and we were Googling what is Pancake Tuesday. It turns out it's Lent. People quit stuff for 40 days.
Get rid of all the crap in your house, fry it up, and pancakes is what people made, wasn't it? Yeah. That's essentially the rules. I
said to Helen, my missus, what do you want to quit? She went, nothing. I said to my son, what do you want to quit? He went, school. I was like, nice try, mate, but it's not happening. And I said, you know what? And I'd found myself having 1 drink a night to switch off. I'd got myself in a stressful situation with a house move and stuff, selling properties and stuff.
That's regular.
And I was using alcohol as a cope. I was coping with the stress and switching my brain off. Yeah, I'd stopped reading my son bedtime stories because I just wanted to sit on the couch.
What was you having?
White Russians, a bit of milk, because I played it off as a dessert again.
What a mad fancy thing to go to as well.
Vodka, Kahlua, and a bit of milk. But it tasted delicious. It tasted like a dessert, and I make them strong as well. So it got me into that relaxed state. So I'm now thinking that a beer helps me switch off, but then I'm groggy in the morning, and I found myself driving home. I've got a 40-minute commute, craving something, and I thought, this is getting old of me, this. I've had addictions before. I know exactly what it feels like. So for that Lent, for a joke, I'll quit alcohol. I had a glass of red wine. I said, that's the last one. And I did. And by the end of the 40 days, my life was in such a better place. I thought, how can I possibly go back on this? And I didn't drink for 2 years. I didn't. I thought if there was a big button there that would take me back to how I was that day when I quit, I wouldn't push it. So why am I going to push it now? Why would I have a drink?
And there's something about British culture that, I mean, there's a ton of pubs that are closing. And I see studies coming out all the time about this generation's not going out. It's a bit more of a health conscious generation. They don't smoke, they don't drink. They don't fucking do anything, to be honest with you, but like they're not doing those vices. And I think there's some societal benefits to going out and to socializing and to having conversation that you just wouldn't have if you didn't have those things. But there's also a reliance in British culture, I think, of those experiences, which is a negative. And I just wonder where does this go to in 20 years' time? Because those pubs will not exist. The pub culture in London is different to up here. There definitely seems like a work pub vibe, and the pubs are busy and they're nice places. A lot of pubs around here, they're fucking disgusting. You know, they've not put anything into the user experience, and then they wonder why they close. And I just wonder, like, where's British culture going when it comes to relationship with alcohol? Because it isn't a positive. There's no one sitting there saying, hey, just 2 beers a day, mate. Yeah. It's a real positive. Like no one's going to sit there and on a podcast and be like, do you know what? My life was in the gutter. And then I started having 2 Stella a day and turned it right round. I don't think anyone's ever sold that.
No. I think it comes down to intention again. Like you said, in London, you know, high-flying business people, the energy is a lot higher there. I've spent time in London. There's a lot more moving parts. There's a lot more sort of networking opportunities. Things are moving fast.
Networking for sure.
So someone might drink to socialize and to just switch that prefrontal cortex off so they can have like a relaxed conversation with a colleague so that they build a better relationship. Their intention is different. Whereas where we've grown up, deprived working class outskirts of Manchester, northern Britain, I think the intention is to cope with shit by switching your fucking brain off.
Or get off your nut.
Get off your nut. That's exactly, in my experience, that's exactly why I was doing it. Hated myself. I was a fucking loser. So by the time Wednesday came around, which was really fast from Sunday, I was just getting pissed because it stopped me thinking about how much of a fucking loser I was and a dickhead.
You think, what are you celebrating? We go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What are we celebrating?
Yeah. No. And then the conversations become about just, oh, what happened last night? I was mad that, wasn't it? Whereas, you know, I think switching the intention, like you said, 2 beers, I don't think you can put a number on it. It's just drink with intention. I fancy a drink right now. I fancy a drink now with you. Why? Because me and you are going to share this, you know, neat rum with intention. We're going to celebrate this moment together. And then from then, I'm just going to put the drink down. I might not even drink it all. I'm not going to go, right, I'm done, mate. Wait. And then get off. No, the intention was to share that sip with you, and then I'm going to go. That was my intention.
I think there's probably... I'm quite intentional with my words, and I won't say I'll do something if I don't believe I'll do it. So I've never, ever... No, I'm never one of those that I've never sent a text that I'm never drinking again. Certainly never said one that I meant it. I might say it whilst drinking something as a joke. But I've never said I'm never drinking again because I don't believe I ever would ever not drink again. But I absolutely reduced my intake for sure. It's a weird one because it seems like I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like it's coming up every couple of days.
Yeah.
The impact of alcohol.
I recently did a workshop for NHS medical professionals on scar camouflage, which is basically tattooing in, over and around scars to camouflage them, to restore the confidence. And I sat through other people's workshops and I said to the professor with more letters after his name than the alphabet next to me, I said, alcohol's been mentioned a few times today. And he said, alcohol is responsible for 95% of the burns that we deal with.
Wow.
And they were fucking life-changing burns, severe. From idiots that have walked out in the snow with no shoes on and got frostbite and nearly lost their feet, to people falling on train lines, to people falling asleep with a cig in their mouth. 95% of the life-changing burns were caused by alcohol. And I wouldn't say to somebody, text your mate and tell them you're never going to drink again, because if you do, you've just defeated yourself. Don't do that. If you want to make a change with alcohol, just tell yourself, I'm only going to drink with intention from now on. That's a very, very easy thing to say. And it's an easy decision to make when there's a drink in front of you. Oh, what's the intention here? I've driven to a pub to see someone. There's a load of beer on the table and there's one for me. What's the intention there? Is the intention to have that and then have another and leave the car here, have a row with the missus because I've not shown up? You know what? No, my intention is to not have that. Or, like me with the Aperol, it's summer, it's baking, well refreshing, and I'm mega busy and challenged all the time in my life. It does actually help me relax into a holiday. It does help me relax into a holiday if I just have an Aperol spritz.
Is that meme they're going around? Ranking of the beers. The shower beer, the airport beer. Yeah. I mean, I'm not one for the 5 a.m. airport beer.
I saw a guy on a mountain bike with a can of Stella yesterday. Was there a mountain bike beer?
It's not in the top 10, I don't reckon.
Mate, I was wondering what his intentions were. I'm like, could you not wait to go from where you are to where you're going?
We did adventure training once. Adventure training in the military has a secondary name, which is adventure drinking. And again, the intention of that is bonding, probably, which is a big positive. And the intention of the entire week usually is bonding. So getting smashed together is amplifying that. So it's there. We did mountain biking once, and I had a bottle of Aftershock in a pouch, and we was flying down mountains, necking a load of Aftershock, which does not increase your judgment and distance judging in the slightest. And then going for it. And it was basically seeing how pissed you could get and still ride a bike. it was character building. I think it was safe to say.
I think that's inherent in the military, especially with certain special forces. My friend Ollie Ollerton, he has famously quit alcohol now, but his stories of alcohol abuse whilst in the forces is crazy, man.
The drinking culture in the military is something to behold, because it almost revolves around everything, absolutely everything. How did you come about tattooing him? Was that for TV, that?
No, that was because I believe everything in life is a value exchange. I listened to a podcast that he said. I got a lot of value from something that he said. And then I thought I'd like to give that back somehow. So
you reach out.
And there was a story that he said in that podcast as well, that as he was saying it, I've got this gift for, as people tell me their stories, like the visuals come to me. That's just a gift I've got. And I could see this tattoo and I thought, I couldn't sleep. I thought, I've got to just put this down just so I can sleep. So I just quickly designed it. And I thought, I'll send it in.
Just quickly designed a tattoo.
Lay in bed, just leaned over and lay in bed and just knocked it up. And I thought, you know what, I'll send it in. And I sent it in with the sentence, I got a lot of value from this thing that you said in that podcast. Thank you. And, you know, I had this idea for you. There's a gift, mate. Whether I do it or someone else does it, it's fine. And I think his reply was, fucking hell, Danny. When are we doing it? So I went and did it, and we've stayed in touch ever since. We got on. I believe in, organic and authentic connections with people. Like I said to you earlier before we started this podcast, I've said no to loads because I don't think we resonate. And I felt like I resonated with him. I could easily sit and message celebrities all day if I wanted to, but I'd not come across one who I resonate quite as much as I did with him on that day. So, and that's why it happened, you see. I could message celebrities all day to go and tattoo them and they might just ignore me. It's because it's not, the stars don't need to align that way. It's not meant to be. And maybe if they came in, I'd fucking hate it. But with him, it just felt right, it felt organic, and because it was supposed to happen, it did. Cool guy. He's out in Dubai now.
I think we need to wrap it up here because I think we've had a mega little conversation here, Danny.
Part one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could probably go on for a long time. What I will say is, what's next? What does the future hold for you and for the studio? And if people are interested in maybe checking out some of your work. And
so me and my brother, who's still with me, I closed the business last April when I had the baby because it was just too much. It was stressing me out, and I wanted to put everything I've got into my family. Me and my brother are still in the same building, but the business is closed and everyone else has left. Me and him are looking at joining forces now officially and opening. We're into motorbikes and classic cars and just cool stuff.
We did say this earlier. Danny's always had the coolest car collection.
Dad was a mechanic, so me and my brother are into just mad cars, you know, just all motorbikes or anything. And we think that a tattoo, barber, maybe whiskey, cigar, bike, car culture all kind of come together. And when we sit and we have these conversations about what would the dream life look like, that's where me and him keep coming back to. So we're kind of just putting that out to the universe and seeing if it delivers it to us. We're looking at pieces of land, we're looking at buildings here and there, we're looking at maybe going abroad. So we've rebranded it as the Birch Tattoo Company. So we're sticking with our name, we're proud of our name, and we're making it mean something, especially with my two boys now. We're looking at...
So you say you close the business, you mean you close the studio that's basically other people coming working underneath that banner?
Yeah.
But you're obviously still tattooing.
I still had the lease on the building, so I just stayed there. Which is funny because I started by myself in a room, small room of a building. I've gone full circle and come back to just being me in a room in a building. It's wonderful, really. It's really good. But me and my brother, he's in the building somewhere else. We're looking at joining forces and building something together under our surname, yeah, which will be around bikes, culture, somewhere where we can bring like-minded people together. They can come for a coffee. If they want a tattoo, they can chill. If they want to do nothing.
Third space. There's not a lot of them at the moment because the pubs are closing down and that culture's changing. There isn't a lot of people go home, they go work. There isn't a third space for people at the moment. It's a good idea.
Okay, is that what you call it? Like
it's a third space.
Work, home and
a third space.
Hang out.
Yeah. There's not enough of those. Like it was the pub when people literally went to the pub every day. There isn't a third place that this generation hangs out in. We go home, we go work, we go home. Yeah. Maybe the gym, but there's not a lot of hanging out at the gym.
So we would like to create the third space for people who align with us and resonate with us and who want to just have fun, mate, want to have a good life and have a good laugh, to come and maybe join us. And then I've got this burning desire to just help young creatives, because mine, although it was nurtured by my parents and my grandparents, the education system didn't really nurture it too well. So I would, if I can find the energy for it very, very soon, I'd really love to just teach young people or any people to just, you know, nurture their creative talents into becoming a business. It's not just a hobby anymore, but that's for another time. But they can find me. My plan is to just keep smashing tattooing, just like I've started. I just want to keep doing the best tattoo I've ever done. I heard a really good quote from Enzo Ferrari just the other day. And he was asked what his best creation was, and he said, "I've not made it yet." So I'm just chasing that.
Well, if you are someone that's thinking about tattooing or someone that's starting and you're in this area, I don't think you're going to get many better than Danny. And I imagine any apprenticeship with you is pretty competitive to get on. Fucking get in there early and see if you can get yourself a hell of a start. But Danny, this has been really fun to chat to you, mate. And nice to see you again, mate.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
But thank you very much. Go check him out. Go check out his amazing work and go and try and book in if you want a tattoo doing, because, well, you're pretty booked up.
Yeah, I'm very selective. I might say no. I say no to more than I say yes to, but I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Right, nice one.